Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the league podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'm joined by my good pal here, co-host, Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B.
Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing today, Bernie?
I'm doing well, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. If you guys haven't noticed, we are in the same room. This is not virtual. Ow, why'd you hit me? So we're in the same room, so that's exciting. Also, if you notice, because he opened the show with me on that first screen, because we're in the same room, and I don't know how to warp them in and out. So we are doing this is episode 90, Wingman Fantasy Football, a draft day special, as we have just come fresh off of the draft room, and we went right to the studio to talk about it, cry about it, console each other, and talk trash. So what are your first thoughts on the draft day of itself?
The whole day was a success. Everything went smooth. A couple of technical difficulties that we worked through. So it was good. Good times.
So we had a 12-team draft. We wrapped it up with 14 rounds, and we got it done in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'd say that's a win on itself.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
So we're going to bring in some of our members of our league, and we're going to talk about our draft, see who needs consoling, who needs praising, and all that good stuff. But we're going to start off with the two of us in our draft here. Let's just bring up our board. I was Amazing Spidey in the 7th pick, and Bernie over here is Team B in the 9th pick. And as you can see, a little
Wait, I'm sorry. Were you 7th or were you 6th?
I was 6th. You're right. I was 6th.
There you go.
I was mock drafting at 7th to practice. You're right. I drafted at 6th.
That's why your team came out like that.
Yeah.
You were mock drafting in the wrong position.
There you go. So, we're using the grades here, as you see, a spoiler from the Primetime Draft app, and we know how they grade. We know. But they gave me, the Amazing Spidey team, a grade of B. Excuse me.
Bravo. Good grade.
I was very uninspired throughout the whole time. It could have been the mozzarella sticks or the pizza rolls that was doing a number on my stomach. I'm not sure, but but Team B, you ended up here with a D+ according to these rankings. How do you feel? You think that's justified?
No, the grade is definitely not justified. I'm happy it's not an F because I got the F last year.
Okay.
So I'm doing better than last year. But I'm happy with my team, and if a D is what it is to them, I'm okay with that.
So I'm looking at your team, and you took a lot of players that I liked, maybe because we talked about it so much together. I see 3 or 4 guys that we definitely talked about as value picks. For example, I'm going to look down right here. Nick Chubb, we said if you wanted him, you had to target him in the 8th.
Yeah.
I was going to take him in the 8th, but you had the first crack at that in that even number rounds, and you did not let him get past the middle of the 8th round.
Yeah, that was a solid pick for me. I was comfortable with it. My backs ahead of him are ready to go with Taylor and Walker. Kamara's a nice third fill. We can play 3 backs max in our league, correct?
Correct.
Yes, so that's good. I'm happy. I'm happy with that position, that pick.
So the interesting thing is we're going to bring in a couple guests throughout the show, and as you took Nick Chubb in the 8th round, we had one of our managers, our 3-time back-to-back champion, Red Sox Nation. He also took a Browns running back in the 8th round, but it was his first running back off the board. He went 0 RB, and as we said before, players like Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard, and again, in our league, you can play 3 running backs, but you only have to play one. So if you can find someone who can get you through the first 4 weeks, maybe even 6 in the case for the Browns here, you can piece it together, figure out other options going forward. So we had 2 running backs from the Browns go in the 8th round. I know you were talking of Jerome Ford. That's kind of early from where it was going the mock draft, but do you think that was a fair value to take him there?
I think so. I think if you're looking at Warren's backing up Harris, he went there. Zach Moss is okay, but I would stay away from that. I think Ford's a good pick there.
All right. And we weren't right back to back, but it seemed like you were sniping me, at least in my head. I'm like, all right, this is the guy I'm taking next. Oh,
yeah.
Crap. Kamara was one of those. Adunze and Chubb were all one. AJ Brown was the steal. I didn't really expect to get him in the second round, but he got close enough just to make me think I had a chance.
Yeah. Way back when you had him ranked pretty high. On the early rankings, you had him like 3 or even 4.
At the end, I actually moved him up to my wide receiver 1.
What?
My last.
Oh.
Because I put the guys where I actually want them, and I would have enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed drafting him more than someone like CeeDee Lamb or Hill.
Yeah.
Because the holdout for Lamb, the age of Hill, the AJ Brown was just the right age.
Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
All right, Josh Jacobs. We talked about him a little bit, right?
Yes.
Do you think he went in the right spot compared to Kyron Williams? Because I know you like Kyron Williams.
They went well, where did Kyron Williams go? You go ahead of him or after him?
Which way does the snake draft go? Well, before him.
Okay. Why am I not seeing it?
Right here?
Oh, because I'm looking at blue teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of red. Anyway, yeah. So he went out right before him, right? So
Yep.
I did have Jacobs ahead of Williams at the final.
There we go.
My choice there though was going to be Cooper Kupp. I wanted these. I actually wanted to go receiver.
Yep.
But every time I looked down, the better ranked running back, at least in my rankings, was available, and I just wanted to go by the sheet.
Yeah, the top of my overall ranking list was a lot of running backs, but I needed to snipe out some good receivers. So I feel you with those running back heavy top ends of a.
All right, guys. So this is our draft day special, and we're going to have a lot of guests come in. So we're just going to keep moving it along here.
Yep.
So we're going to pause this real quick. We're going to stay on the draft board where you can look at that while we bring in some of our members of our league. So go ahead, stick around, take a gander at that board, and we're going to bring in one of our players right now. All right, so we're bringing our first guest here. We have our three-time oh my gosh, this hurts so much to say this. Red Sox Nation. He is here. He is now joining me at the bar. This is Red Sox Nation, our back-to-back-to-back champion.
That's
and of
right.
course, he had a very fine grade of an A+, looking like he's on his way to a fourth consecutive title. I'm just kidding. How are you doing today, Mr. Jimerson?
Pretty good, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. So the grade, does your feelings match the grade of the draft?
I love my draft. It's the same strategy I've employed over the last 3 years, right? 0 RB, take the highest rated running wide receivers that are available, try to stack in a top 4 or 5 quarterback while you're there, and you only need to start one running back. So
Right.
if you can find someone serviceable, get those catches, don't need a lot of yards, and see what happens.
So it sounds like to me that you were pretty much planning on going 0 RB, unless the board was totally like just knocked you upside the head. You were going to go receiver heavy. Did that contribute to you wanting to get one of the top quarterbacks? You were the first one to take a
Yes.
quarterback off the board, even though we did pretty good. We didn't take a quarterback to the third round, but then they went the whole third and fourth round were all quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, with Hurts sitting there, it's almost like having a running back too. So I figured I can get the top rated running quarterback. What I was looking at James Cook, right? Cuper's Rage took him two picks before me, so that didn't work out there. But that's once that happened, I was looking down my list. There was no one else I really wanted. It started in my head. I was like, let's start to take some flyers about the 8th, 9th, 10th round, somewhere around there.
Well, you may have wanted Cook, which is a pretty good, actually great value in the fourth round, but Neighbors was the one who kept falling.
Yes.
None of us have confidence in the team of the Giants, but if you want a potential superstar young player, and usually those type of players like Marvin Harrison, for example, you're like, all right, we think they're going to be good, but we're not sure, but you got to take them at the price of their ceiling. You got him at a very reasonable price. If he's just good, you got a great pick with Neighbors there.
Absolutely. I look at the same way with Drake London, right? On most of my boards, he was a top 12 wide receiver, whether it was half PPR or full PPR. And here it comes on the 23rd pick, and he's still sitting there. Kirk Cousins is going to be amazing for him. So it was a no-brainer pick there. And then once Malik Neighbors was still there, I was like, okay, he's been in top 20, top 25 in most boards. So I had to take him at that point.
It's crazy. All the mock drafts, all the ones we did on the show, and all the ones that I've been doing, on various sites, always has London, Olave, Waddle, Evans. They're always on that 2-3 turn, that group of 6 picks right there. That no matter who you're drafting with, that's just where they are just pretty much pending. They keep going in that part of the draft.
Yeah, actually, I was looking at Kelsey coming down that route. You ended up taking him at the sixth pick in that round, but I was looking there and I said, okay, I think it's finally some value here for Kelsey. Because who knows where he is in his career, right? With the podcasts and the Tay stuff. So,
so yeah, I had Kelsey whatever he was, like say 14th receiver, 15th, and I passed him a couple times to take the quarterback. I'm not sure actually exactly where it was, but it's about there. But then the fact that he was higher up on the list compared to other players being drafted in my list, but the fact that I had Mahomes made it a little easier.
yes.
And again, the fourth round, I think the same thing with Neighbors, for example. I'm not saying one player is better than the other, but like you're not taking Kelsey in the second round anymore. We're like, oh, I need this to work out. Now it's like, if this works out, I've got a That's a nice little guy.
It's a good stack. I like the stack because he's going to have games. You know he's going to have the 10, 11 receptions, 184, 154, somewhere in their yards. It's a good stack. I like what you did there.
The thing you're worried about with Kelsey is how he was slowed down last year, or if they think they're going to rest him so they save these guys for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But he had a slow year last year because he was hurt. He actually got hurt like the first week of the season.
That's true.
He was kind of chugging along there in that first third, middle of the season. Like, it wasn't just age. I mean, maybe the injury is caused by age, if you will, but he was actually playing half hurt and kind of picking his spot so he could just finish games for these guys.
Look, you just want him to be on the field, catching receptions week 13, 14, and on, right? That's where if he's slow up to that point, great. If he's healthy and he's on the field for those games, for that playoff run, you got a weapon there.
I also think that I think he's too old now to be the number one on that team, and not necessarily number one in terms of targets and stats, but number one where like the offense revolves around.
Correct.
The other team put a linebackers, safety over the top, or however they want to, jam him up on the line. He's not fast enough or quick enough now to be jumping off that kind of stuff. But now with the emergence of Rashee Rice, maybe Xavier Worthy, for example, and Marquise Brown if he gets back, they have a Juju Smith-Schuster too. They have a more solid. They got rid of Kadarius Toney and MVS, the guys who kept grabbing the ball and going off sides every time. They're already better. And just by maybe having a little more attention being spread out by the defense, that's when Kelsey is. When he picks that spot in the zone and just sits down.
Correct.
So,
you're right, and I'm not. Look, I took Malik Neighbors, rookie, but big time wide receiver. Xavier Worthy was really not on my radar, but the value kept showing up there. And you know what? Just watching the videos of him in training camp and what he did in some preseason games, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's time for a flyer.
Yeah.
I'm not big on a lot of rookies, especially the smaller ones, but you never know what can happen, especially with Kelsey kind of.
Right.
Twilight of his career. So we'll see who's going to step up in that spot.
Well, to me, it looks like Worthy was an early-ish pick in terms of round, but he's your sixth receiver. So it's not so much the number of the round you take him, but you couldn't take another receiver if you wanted to. So he's your last receiver. If it was your last receiver in the 14th round,
correct,
or in this case the 7th round rather, he's still your last receiver. He's going to sit there. You're going to wait and see, and he doesn't hurt you.
I'm going to be honest. I wasn't looking for him there.
Right.
When it came to my pick, who went before him? Pollard. Daniel or Love. So I don't know. I wasn't looking for him, but the more I looked at my list and all the scratch outs and he was still there, I was like, oh, there's a lot of value here. So maybe it's time to take him.
Awesome. So let's see, what other grades do we have here? So you got the A+. There was an A from Waddle away. We'll bring him on a little
That's
later.
my first week opponent.
Is it? Oh, okay. I haven't gotten that far. Have you looked at projections yet at all?
We are. I'm favored by 2 points right now.
All right. That might be one of our first Wingman Jam pick'ems. That
Perfect.
Perfect. All right, so we have a couple D's, and everyone else is pretty much C and B. So it's a nice spread here. There's no F's. There's only you got the A+. A+ is off the chart. They should put an A+ with a smiley face and a check mark.
That was one just for the 3-time champ. That's it right there.
All right, so your outlook, you feel pretty confident about your outlook this season?
Love it. I actually love it. And honestly, look, what you draft today is never what your team looks like come week 15. So it's all about the waiver wire pickups and scanning that board there, but you got to start somewhere, and I think where I am right now, I like what I'm seeing there.
All right. I think we're gonna try and we're gonna end that one here. We're gonna bring in another one of our managers, maybe Waddle. We'll see. Red Sox Nation's first week opponent. We'll find out right away. Actually, I want to just say thank you again for coming into town and for joining us on the pod here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right. Very good, guys. All right. So I'm looking at the board now, and the next person that catches my attention is the newly named Fantastics, and he is now joining me over at the bar on our draft day special as we are just having a car wash. We're bringing in all of our league mates that are willing to show their pretty faces on camera here. And so we have Fantastics. He's also in the division with Team B and myself. He had the third pick in this draft, if I'm not mistaken. And how do you think the draft day went, in your opinion? Let's start with your team. What do you think about your team and how it went for you?
I like my team. Honestly, I like my team. Did it go every single pick I wanted? No. But in overall, I like the team. Backup running back's a little weak, but I'll live with it. Maybe I'll trade up. I'll trade with Mike here. Yeah, find somebody.
So your first two picks were Dolphins. I know last year at our discussions at the bar, you kicked yourself for skipping over Tyreek Hill, and in last year's case, taking Jamar Chase. But with the third pick, you had the choice of Tyreek Hill because CeeDee Lamb and McCaffrey went first, and you didn't think you put that pick in about 4 seconds once the buzzer rang your name.
Oh, for sure. And actually, I thank Red Sox Nation for leaving them for me. I have season tickets to the Dolphins,
Okay.
so I get to watch a player for a change that actually makes an impact. In the past, before I had season tickets, I just pick like a kicker or somebody,
Right.
whatever. But this time, I got to take a player who's going to make an impact, regardless if it's as good enough for my fantasy first pick
Right.
or not. I'm happy about that. And A-Chain, represents exactly the same thing. He literally was like third on my list to look at. And I mean, come on. I'm literally paying thousands of dollars to watch this team. Might as well root for the same thing. I can't watch it on TV and switch back and forth.
Right.
So
Right.
I want to see it. And A-Chain, if it was far off pick, I would definitely want to take him if it was another round or something like that. But he would not have been available when I came around. Well, he might have.
It would have been a gamble.
It would have been a
You had
gamble.
to wait 5 picks, so it's possible.
It's possible.
There were no other running backs taken, but that could have been because that was the one who would have gone.
Yeah, it is possible. It's possible. I mean, either way, it could have gone. He could have left, and it wasn't big enough risk for me.
So you started off with, like we mentioned here, Tyreek Hill and A-Chan. So you have 2 Dolphins with your first 2 picks, but I noticed, unless I'm looking this wrong, your third pick, you selected Deebo Samuel instead of Jalen Waddle. You could have had 3 Dolphins with your first 3 picks.
And don't want to push it.
Okay. I love, after all that, like, I want to root for all these, but I don't root for all of them. What if there's a bad day? I don't want to be mad and mad.
Dolphins aren't going to have a good week every week. Everybody knows that. A team who thinks they're going to win every week with no players having bad fantasy weeks, that's crazy.
That's like being Team B being a Daniel Jones fan. It's not unrealistic.
Yeah.
All right. So we also had our league did, depending on how you want to look at it, our league did pretty good at holding off on taking quarterbacks. Our first quarterback wasn't taken, as we mentioned before, with Red Sox Nation, early 3rd round, but no quarterbacks taken in the 2nd round. But then there was a decent run between the 3rd and 4th round, and just by where you were in the draft order, you took the last one of this stretch of quarterbacks. I'm going to read them off real quick just so that people have an idea of the order here. So we had Hurts, then Mahomes, then Lamar Jackson, who jumped ahead of Josh Allen, who's next. Anthony Richards jumped up. And Joe Burrow was a little bit of a surprise, and you took C.J. Stroud. Did you have Stroud ahead of Burrow and Richardson, or how'd you have those guys ranked?
I had him below Allen. Burrow, Stroud, they're kind of in the middle. Honestly, I like Burrow a little better. But I feel like still it's a little bit of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Burrow healthy, playing his best game is going to be better than Stroud.
Okay.
But I didn't have that option, honestly. But when I look at everyone behind, actually, I'm looking more about what I had options for.
Right.
It's Prescott, and then you go all the way down to Love.
Right.
And in my opinion, Daniels doesn't even matter. I'm going to Tua. Maybe Caleb Williams.
Well, that's kind of one of the reasons.
Prescott and C.J. Stroud were really like me thinking about it. I really was. But if I had taken Prescott, it would have been on the next round back on Amari Cooper.
Okay.
And I made a mistake, honestly. I was thinking I would take Diggs and Stroud together. But what I should have done is taken Diggs first, then Stroud.
Okay.
So this is my biggest mistake from the whole draft. When I look back on it, it was in my head that I would do in that order. But if I should have looked at who I was drafting against, they were not going to take Stroud.
Right.
And I can actually see Red Sox Nation laughing at me off camera. And if Red Sox Nation wins again, we know it's my fault.
Oh, yeah, you were the one in front of him on the way down on the even round. So you were the one who was responsible for trying to snipe as much as possible. Instead of sniping, you just gave gift baskets. I'm just.
Hey,
I'm just saying. He told me earlier. He was like, "Oh, thank God he took Stroud because I really wanted neighbors there in the 4th round." That was his whole strategy. He's like, if I can convince through telekinesis Fantastics to take Stroud, and I get neighbors, boom, winner.
fair enough. Well, it worked because I never even thought about Neighbors. I looked at him and I didn't want him because I don't like the Giants.
That's fair. Who likes the Giants? I know somebody who likes players in the Giants. I don't know who he is.
But I will say that I've been next to Red Sox Nation for this is the 3rd season now. And that asshole has won 3 seasons in a row, and I've been next to him for at least 2. I don't know about the one before that. I might even been next to him then. I don't remember. And so that if that pick makes a difference, these 2 picks make a difference, then there you go.
All right.
So I'm the one to blame.
That's
honestly
not
not even Red Sox. You can't even blame him. Just blame me. I'm literally giving him players.
To be honest with you, we were blaming you anyway, so it's fine.
Hey, give me fine. I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
All right.
Anyone who gives someone a 3-peat, they deserve all the shit they.
So I want to thank you so much, one, for just even coming down for the draft. For those who are unaware, we do this in-person draft, and most of these guys are driving in from out of town. It's a huge. I appreciate it very much. It makes the draft day so much better. We're in the same room, smoother, less chance for mistakes and auto picks and all that kind of stuff. So we get the teams we want for the most part. And so I want to thank you guys for coming up, and I appreciate you guys starting the day off with us today.
For sure, Mike. Thank you.
All right, man. All right, so we're going to put up the draft board here one more time. Again, I want to thank that was Fantastics. That's Ken's team, and we're going to bring in some other guests soon after this little short pause. All right, it is time to bring in our next guest. Oh, I just realized another division mate of Team B, Fantastics and myself. Hey, he's flashing right through the wall. Look at this. So this is Alex's team. This is Alex's. They took our jobs. And he had the awful drawing as he was the last pick in our draft, team 12 of 12. And he started his draft off with a running back, 2 heavy bangers of Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. How do you think your draft day went today? They took our jobs.
This is actually the ghost of Day Tooker Jobs. It's okay. It's like middle ground. I don't think it's good or it's bad.
I know it's hard to say. You don't have a lot of choices in the last pick. Were you hoping for the running backs on that turn, or was there a receiver you were hoping might get to you?
No, I was going to go 1-1, but just by the time it got to me, that was the best choice.
So yeah, you let AJ Brown go. You were not a fan of the Eagles receiver, I guess. That was one that was could have been taken there.
No, actually, I kind of actually missed that one completely.
Okay,
To tell you the truth.
That's fine. So very good. All right. So how would you rate your? I know you were lost in time today. You had a very mellow.
Well, by the time pick 12 came along, I think I was like 45. So.
All right. Is there any pick that you thought was like your best value, or like a pick that you're like can't believe made it back to you?
I guess I'm a little bit surprised about Allen, but that'd be about it.
Okay.
I see some laughing from
That's
the crowd.
fine. Oh, yeah.
You
know what? Yeah, you got Josh Allen as the 4th quarterback off the board, and he's been the number 1 or 2 quarterback the last 5 years. So that seems like a very nice player to take at that spot in the draft.
Yeah. So nothing wild this draft, just very even keel across the board.
It's the way to do it. Just kind of mellow out, zone in, and just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, kept me from picking bad picks. So
very good. Well, I want to thank you so much. Another player who joined us live in person at our draft day. And thank you for joining us at the draft and for the draft day special. All right, man. Thank you. All right. We are now bringing in our next player in our draft, and this is Nick's Waddle Away.
Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle.
All right. This is Nick's Waddle Away. He had the 5th pick. He was right before me. How many players did you steal from, or how many players did I steal from you on the way back? And I can answer how many players I think you stole from me on the way up. How many players did I steal from you today?
I don't think any. I mean, you got a lot of. You got wide receivers, right?
No, I didn't take a wide receiver till late.
I don't remember.
That's fine.
Yeah, whatever you got. You got a bunch of something.
That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I didn't.
So let's see. On the even rounds, I was ahead of you. On the odd rounds, you were ahead of me. So you took. Yeah, we really didn't like. You took nope. You didn't steal anybody from me either.
Oh, there's a board up here.
Yeah.
Let me see it. All right. Okay. Let me see.
You took players that I thought would come back to me, but you took them right after my pick, which means I was very wrong on thinking they might survive a round or two.
See what you did though. You did save me here.
I saved you. Good.
Well, you pick Kelsey. You open the floodgates for me, man. Okay to pick a tight end. You made it okay.
So you took
Feel good about that.
you took Laporta. I'm assuming that means you had Laporta ranked higher than Kelsey. Very
Isn't
mad.
that's the consensus, right?
I would say generally speaking, as a consensus might be. I don't. I personally had Kelsey rated higher. What do you think about that?
I think it's wrong. Yeah, I don't think that's right because he was higher on my board.
Interesting.
I mean, you have a different board?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like,
All right. Well, that's why we do this, because everyone has their own board. Some people have special boards. Some people have.
mine was the consensus though. It was like all of the experts together. All right, so I feel like
It didn't include the
that gives
Wingman
you-
consensus.
guys. I mean, look, you were selling it. I was considering, but I mean, I asked Mike for his. So I mean, he's
Well, it worked because he had an A+ and you had an A. So following that, so guys, we're no longer WK is off the market. We're not selling anymore. It's a waste of time. We get D+ and Bs. We're gonna have the Red Sox Nation draft strategy guide or something like that. We'll call it something. I don't know. All right. Are there any picks that you had that you went through here that you thought was a great value, or you couldn't believe that they lasted that long? You have two quarterbacks,
yeah, Tua.
both in their fourth or fifth year. Tua and Herbert.
Yep, Tua. I mean, I was ecstatic. I got him again, 8th round value. Hey, I mean, this is since he was a rookie, I had him every year.
So, have you had him
Yeah.
every year? So last
Yeah.
year, I know you had Tua, and you played him almost every week. He had a couple big games early, but then you just kept playing him while Dak Prescott was blowing up and having much better games on your bench, and you just missed the playoffs because of these decisions. Sticking with Tua, a little Tua long, if I could say.
Yeah,
I just came up with that.
it's Tua. I'm good. Hey, listen, I'm loyal. I'm always gonna play Tua.
All right, that's
I
good.
grabbed Justin Herbert just to sit him.
So you have
all year.
priorities when it's
Yeah.
not one of them. I get it.
I mean,
That's
I'm
good.
gonna
That's
bench
good.
Herbert all year. I don't care if he's doing better. Like, I'm just.
Oh, I'll trade you for Herbert. You want let's see. I don't know who I'll give you. Mike Williams for Herbert, a very up and coming receiver with a Hall of Fame quarterback.
You got Mahomes. I mean, he'll still be benched. We could talk.
We'll talk. All right.
Yeah, we could talk.
Well, thank you so much again, and one of our outer towners who joined us in an in-person draft again makes this the whole thing kind of a delight. I would say, some players are more delightful than others, and you're one of those players who are on the scale. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for
and,
having us, man. You always do it up.
Oh yeah, let me give you a waddle away. I forgot about that.
Oh,
And
let's
I
go.
pushed the wrong
Then
button.
he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he
All right, we are now bringing in our next guest into the bar. This is Reggie, aka Lionize, and this is all. He had 2 entries last week into our mailbag, and I want to thank him for the comments and the complaining and the questions and the
Yes.
fervor. I do appreciate that. What can you remind us? What are some of the things that you wanted to bring up in the mailbag?
So many things. Divisions are awful. Waste of time and money. Just put more money to first place, is what I think. But hey, I'm not in control.
Well, I'll tell you, back in the day before we did the divisions, I used to win all the time, and I felt really bad that I took everyone's money. So I was like, how can I give someone a bone? You can win, double your money back or 150% your money. And I was like, this will just share the wealth a little bit because I can't keep winning. And then since then,
It's fair.
I'm not winning at all, but
You're
I
not
did that
winning
for
at
you
all,
guys.
yeah.
I did that for you guys.
Well, we appreciate that. But what else? What did I complain? Oh, well, of course, I just the video being lost.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Yeah, very convenient.
How convenient,
Very convenient.
folks.
So,
My tinfoil cap.
so all right, you had the 10th pick in our draft, and it seemed for sure that you were going to get at least one line, maybe even 2.
Yeah.
Were you you ended up taking Jahmyr Gibbs here, which is a perfect spot at him at 10. Did you have a St. Brown rated higher than Gibbs if you had
I
the
did.
choice?
If St. Brown was there, I would take him over Gibbs.
Did any of your mock drafts, did you get both those guys?
I did. I didn't think it would happen in our league, but in some, I did a few mocks.
I think
And actually, I was like, ooh,
I think if you were 9, you would have had maybe obviously
better
St.
chance.
Brown went 8th
yeah.
because St. Brown was moving up the board with all the receivers on holdouts and stuff like that and injured.
Yep.
He was just kind of, I'm not sure to take. Just take St. Brown. I'm not sure to take. Just take St. Brown. And by the end of it, he was the 4th receiver rated.
Yeah, I was hoping someone would take some more risk with like Barkley early, maybe Garrett Wilson early, AJ Brown early, but that didn't happen to push St. Brown down. Or even, and honestly, I had Taylor higher than Gibbs too.
Okay.
I was hoping Taylor would come to me. And then when that didn't work out,
So
it's
you're rooting for
I'm-
Taylor for your draft rankings, but at the same time, worst case scenario, you got
Yeah.
one of your favorite,
Yeah.
a player from your favorite team.
obviously, yeah. and it debated it a little, but I was happy with it. As long as that hamstring's good, he'll be solid.
Right. So you were in that round of the top 3 quarterbacks taken in round 3 here, but you decided, which is fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. That Bernie's team B had the same ranking. You decided to take Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen. What went into that decision?
Because I don't know. Josh Allen I don't trust him this year with lack of receivers, and he's garbage.
I don't. Yeah. I don't disagree. I'm a little afraid that
No.
he might be how Mahomes was last year, losing receivers and having to put more on him. And
Yeah,
it won't
and that's
work out.
true. And maybe he'll run more because of that, and he's panicking. He's got to run more, and but then he's more subject to injury. So I feel like Lamar, it's a make or break year for them, big time. Like, and he's always consistent. And I've never had that early quarterback. So this year,
Nice.
and I was
It is nice. So that,
quarterback flyer
yeah.
feel sometimes is painful, or if I
Stre-
do a late round.
Streaming quarterbacks suck when you're like, please give me 15 points, please.
Yeah.
And these guys are like,
Yeah.
all right, I got 18 points. Maybe I can get 28. Something like that. It's a lot easier to start your scoring menu there. Are there any other picks here that like either you can't believe made it back to you, or there's a pick I'm surprised you took, and I had him on my board. I was gonna take him probably in the round after. I was hoping. But start with you. What players are you happy you got, or surprised that they lasted as long as they did?
I mean, I was pretty happy. Garrett, I had high on my list. I'm just, hopeful that if him and Aaron Rodgers connect and he doesn't hurt himself again, and I think that could be a high upside. But Najee Harris was on my list.
That's the guy.
I had him targeted, and even if I took him a little early, I don't know. I for some reason this year I'm feeling good about him.
They've got the easiest defense. Easiest schedule against rushing defenses.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
and running backs. I find when I look at strength of defenses, running back is the position that most lines up with the ease of schedule.
Yeah.
Because if teams can run the ball because it's not
Makes sense.
hard, they
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
When things are
Right.
hard, they do random things.
Right.
But if things are easier or predictable, every team wants to run the ball.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
can do it.
You got to run the ball. Still, even in today's NFL, you got to run the ball.
Very nice. And also that another player that I had on my list, more of as a value player, and what was it? Terry McLaurin. I wasn't going to target him, but he was going to be one of my later, middle round receivers. But he went, and T Higgins in that same round. Those are the two guys I had back to back that I was willing to take in that 6th, 7th, 8th round area. And you guys, and they went 5th round. Yeah, both those players
Yeah.
went the 5th round. Were you looking for McLaurin or just kind of like,
He's on my short list for sure.
Nice.
Especially in that area, but also, I mean, I'm weak on wide receiver come 5th round, so I had to definitely target one. And over Pickens and Pittman, Higgins is reliable, no doubt.
So wait, when you're weak at a position in the 5th round, you actually go for the position you're weak at instead of just taking in the same position you already have 10 of them. That's weird. I don't understand that.
It's a strategy.
It's like if you have 2 quarterbacks, take a third.
Take a third.
Why get a receiver? Who needs
It's
one?
on the list.
Who needs one?
No, yeah, that's fill the need kind of draft.
So
Pick right there for sure.
So I'm looking here at the overall grades from this draft app, and you are the 3rd highest with
Yeah,
a B
boy.
plus
Yeah.
behind the last 2 guys we talked to in Red Sox Nation and Waddle Away. Do you think that do you feel in your heart that it matches the grade they put on the board there?
Yeah, I think it's above average, which is B. I think it's reasonable. Barring major injury, I think I got a team I'm happy with. There's a few players I missed out on. Maybe I thought would make a round to me or come back to me that were taken earlier, and maybe I reacted with some of my later picks. But no, I'm happy with my team.
That's why I like when we do our live drafts, because when you don't have that list, everyone's looking at that same list scrolling down on the when you do the draft
Yahoo
boards.
mock or something.
You have players taken all over the place. Like, I
Yeah.
thought it was an 8th round pick. Every time I see him go, he's in the 8th. And no, someone else has him in the 6th. They want him. They think he's good.
Yep.
And I like that variable. You have to decide who you want.
Yeah.
Instead of just taking, these are the next 4 guys on the list. I'll take the best one of those 4.
Total different dynamic doing it live with our group for sure.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so very much for joining us today. a draft day and our draft day special. We have, once this rain lets up, you guys maybe can't tell because we're inside the bar and the window outside is fake behind us. It is pouring outside, so we're going to get this. So I want to thank you guys very much. And I want to thank Mr. Reggie, a.k.a. Lion Eyes, and we'll see you next time. All right, bud?
Thank you.
All right, we have our next guest in the Draft-O-Rama, our draft day special. We have Cubert's Rage, one of my favorite names because we didn't know what his name should be. He just had his symbols of just smashing your hand on the keyboard with a shift bar locked, and he's embraced it. You changed your avatar to the Cubert avatar. I love it.
Basically, that is how my team goes. So
You have the frustration of a guy boinging off the side of the screen.
I think it's more the cursing, but yes.
Okay. Okay. One comes before the other, I guess. All right. So we're looking at your team here. You drafted in the fourth spot. A very nice spot. I was kind of surprised you took. I'm not saying he's not worth it there. This fourth spot had a lot of choices
Right.
because those top 2-3 guys are kind of locked in. Obviously, anything can change. And then the next 4 were a pick 'em. So what made you decide to go with Jefferson for your fourth pick there when you had some other options?
I was going Brees Hall until yesterday.
Oh, what
and-
changed for that?
Just basically the scoring of the league.
Okay.
Decided to go wide receiver heavy this year.
Okay.
Change it up. I finish in fourth like every year, so maybe I could get the third.
Were you did you have Jefferson had to chase the whole time, or is his contract
Yeah,
thing?
Chase. I'm kind of worried about Burrow's wrist.
Okay,
I
okay.
think he's not going to play the whole year.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. And same. So I'm just curious because you had the choices. Did you have St. Brown ahead of Chase if Jefferson was gone, for example, or you had a
I
one pick later?
probably might have taken him ahead of Chase. Maybe.
Okay.
That was 50-50.
So that was definitely a tier for you, and you had Jefferson ahead of that tier. Obviously, you took him, and
Yeah,
Chase was in the back. Of
He
that.
scores a lot of points with garbage, and Darnell's doing okay this preseason, so hopefully. he's
Okay.
not great.
So looking at your team real quick here, you got a C+ right in the middle. You start out with 3 wide receivers. I love your wide receiver core. Cooper Kupp. I was hoping to get. I had him. I planned on taking him, but Josh Jacobs at my last shuffle, I moved him ahead. So just in rankings, I went with the running back. But all offseason, I was planning on taking Kupp with that second pick. So what do you think about that pickup for you there?
I was going to take Drake London, but I really wanted Coop, and I figured Katie was going to take Coop there in the second or in the third before me, so I reached for him.
Okay, yeah, that's one of those players you can't. That whole group there,
Right.
they're all, I don't say even, but people have their favorites, and you don't know which one's going to make it back. So you just kind of got to pick the one you want.
Yeah, he's the one I wanted, so I reached for him a little bit, but we'll see how it plays out.
So I also noticed this time you did not take a quarterback early. You're usually the Josh Allen drafter. As we know, you're a closet Buffalo Bill fan. Maybe not closet. That's not fair. That's not fair. You're out. You're proud. You know,
I'm proud. Yeah, thanks.
So, but you had the Josh Allen experience last year. He was the number 1 scoring player. What made you not want to take a quarterback, especially when you got the tip that Jalen Hurts was the first quarterback taken? So you had the option to take a quarterback there, including Allen.
I said I wasn't going to take a quarterback, and I
Okay.
tried to stick to it. As soon as I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan, but I
Okay.
was looking at him in later rounds. But once he went, I decided later I'd get Jalen Daniels because I wanted a quarterback who runs a little bit.
So you got one of the youngest guys in the league and one of the oldest guys in the league. for
That's
your
my
quarterback.
season right there.
Okay.
That's my season. If he does good, I'll be good.
All right. Well, you'll hopefully Rodgers. I don't say hopefully, but even if you want to wait and see on Daniels because he's a rookie.
Right.
I think he's one of those guys who's going to figure out quick. If he's going to figure it out, he's going to figure it out pretty quickly.
Right.
Maybe the first week, but I would say second, third, fourth week. So if Rodgers can just get you through that first or second week, if you decide to take that, I don't know who they're playing. Oh, they're playing San Francisco.
They're playing
the
San
Jets.
Francisco.
So you're going to play. You're playing Daniels right off the bat.
I am.
And you're going to see how that works for you. So that's good. I like that. That's so you not only did you take 3 wide receivers in your first 3 picks, but you had 5 out of your first 6. You loaded up on receivers. Was that a plan going in, or just the way the rankings fell?
Yeah, I kind of took James Cook because he was there because he catches some balls. I think he'll catch a lot of balls this year. But I was going to go 4 wide receivers.
Oh
to
wow,
start.
okay. I like the Higgins pick. I think he's going to be sneaky. So you passed on Chase, but took Higgins on the later part of the draft. Interesting.
Yeah, well, T. Higgins was my highest rated receiver there.
Yeah.
So I had to take him.
Nice. All right. Well, again, one of our other managers who came from out of town makes the draft day so much better. I want to thank you so much for joining us
Appreciate
today, and good luck on your season.
Appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. All right, we are now bringing in our next guest. This is Katie's King George. Thank you for joining us today, Katie.
You bet, absolutely.
All right, we're going to start right off the bat here. She started off our draft day with the very first pick, and this is the second year in a row she had the first pick. Were you resenting having the first pick after having Justin Jefferson get hurt for you last year?
Yes, but that was okay. I was ready to roll with the punches, and of course, I think that based on everything that's being forecast, that was a pretty easy decision of what the first pick was going to be this year with Christian McCaffrey. But definitely puts you in a position where you have to really think about how do you reach into the next rounds
Right.
and not feel like you're being pressured to take something too early or too late, because you only get 2 shots and then you wait for 30 minutes. So.
Were you locked in at McCaffrey the whole time, or did you have a little bit of thought?
I did do a couple of mock drafts with CD Lamb as my first choice.
Okay.
I really just didn't like what I was seeing come around the second and third turn
In terms of running backs?
rounds 2 and 3 in
Yeah.
the running backs category. So it just felt like that was probably the safest move.
Gotcha. Well, if McCaffrey stays healthy or is healthy, he is a monster. He is does it all, and and Shanahan loves to feature like 1 or 2 guys to score. So he gets the first crack every time, and then they go from there.
I'm hoping so.
So with that long wait between your second and third pick, were these the type of players you were looking for in the Olave Mike Evans turn?
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Evans was still there, but I decided to go with a little bit more of the experience and kind of the what felt like a little bit more of a safer call with somebody who has had pretty consistent play over the past few seasons, as opposed to reaching for something a little bit more dicey at that third round pick.
Olave is scary, but he's got such a high
Yep.
potential. You're going to know right away, or you're going to know within 3 weeks. He might have a couple bad games because it is the Saints.
It's possible.
And they do have Dennis Allen as their coach.
Yeah.
They do have Derek Carr as their quarterback.
Yeah.
And the more things I'm saying, the more I'm like, Olave's going to have an awful year.
That's why Mike was so important to me, why Mike Evans was a good balance to that, because it feels like he can have a pretty consistent delivery.
Very good. Awesome. Yes. So let's see. You took Love as your first quarterback, 7th round. And in this league, we did a good job of not firing our quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds, but we did take a majority of most teams took a quarterback. Some teams even took 2. Only the single Furley dichotomy group there took 2 quarterbacks that early. But you waited in terms of this, maybe like the 11th quarterback off the board, give or take at a glance with Jordan Love. Was that someone you were targeting as a later quarterback, or is that just where it kind of fell for you?
Well, I was either going to get the bottom end of the tier 1s with like a CJ Stroud at that 4-5 turn.
Mhm.
And then when he came off the board, then I was like, nope, everybody else is pretty much at the same level in terms of projected points.
Right.
So there really wasn't a lot of reason for me to burn another pick earlier,
Right.
to try to go after somebody who's probably going to perform very similarly to
Right.
Jordan Love.
I totally agree. That's what, in my instance, on the way back in that 5th, I took Murray, not because I
Mhm.
needed a quarterback, but to me, that was the bottom of the tier.
Yep.
We're like, if I was going to get him, I was going to get him, or I was just going to wait forever because the next 8 guys were all the same.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yep.
So Love was part of that group. He was after the Stroud group, right?
Yes.
And was Murray in that group with Love, or was Murray in the Stroud group?
I probably would not have reached for Murray. I
Okay.
think that once Stroud went, I was
Okay.
pretty well set in what my
So that was your
plan was going to be.
Okay.
And if Murray had fallen at that 6-7 turn, I would have taken him, but he wasn't there, so I just took the next best thing
Gotcha.
I had.
So you have David Montgomery in the 5th round. Is this obviously he's a good player on that and a good offense, but he potentially splits time. Did you target him because he might start the season without Jahmyr Gibbs?
Partly it was also just because, again, from a consistency standpoint, looking for someone who I knew was going to get touches that I wasn't having to reach for. Running backs were really weird this year. You either got one in the first round or that turned it back into the second, or it was just going to be a crapshoot of
Right.
what you were going to get from a performance standpoint. So I really picked him because I knew he was going to get touches. I knew he was going to swap that start with Gibbs, and I might have a little bit of extra time with him in the beginning of the season without Gibbs on the roster.
He's like he's not a handcuff, but he's that perfect guy. He's like he has a role as is.
Yep.
And if he gets the job, almost how Gibbs was last year, Gibbs was the one getting half the time. But when Montgomery missed a couple games, then Gibbs took off. So Montgomery can kind of do that in reverse this time around.
Yeah, he's got a role in the offense regardless of what's going on with Jahmyr Gibbs. It's just a matter of how big it is.
Nice.
That's the only thing.
All right. So last year you were derailed by so many injuries. Not only was your first pick, I remember I was looking one time. It was like 4 of your first 6 guys were all out
It was
for,
not great.
for like a stretch of 3 or 4 weeks at the same time, and they were all like. And your worst one was Aaron Jones, who was just questionable for 7 weeks and like played
Yes.
1 game out of those 7 weeks. And I don't even finish that game. So you started off the hot 5-0, 5-1, 6-1, and then that was with injuries. You still had a good start, but then once Thielen stopped playing well,
It
kinda-
just
kinda
caught up
ended
with
for
me,
you.
and I was like, I can't do anything else. I've got nothing left.
Right. Well, I wish you the best of luck this year. I hope that you have much better health, going forward in terms of your fantasy players, of course,
Yes.
and you personally.
And me, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
more important. So, thank you so much for joining us for the draft day. I know it takes time out of your day, and I appreciate you guys showing up.
Absolutely. It was a great time
All
as
right.
usual.
Great to see you, King George. All right. All right. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. Mr. Bernie, Team B is back.
Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
I want to thank you so very much for joining us today. So look at these one more time. Who do you think has the best team, irregardless of the grade on the draft board?
Oh, Team B for sure.
Yeah. Says that quick with a straight face. I almost believed him. I'm just kidding. No, yes, very good. I like your team too. Your first 2 picks are great. 3rd pick too.
Yeah.
And 4th pick. You know what? The more I'm looking at it, we can make some trades.
Okay.
But
definitely.
actually, your guys are trash. I hate all of them. So we'll figure something.
We can get in season episodes. We'll dive deep into this.
That sounds very good.
All right,
guys. So I forgot one of our favorite calls in the beginning of the show. I forgot to do it. So we're going to do it right now. Let's get everyone in the room. Wingmen Assemble. I did that a little early. That's all right. Premature. All right. Thank you to everybody. If you make it, you make it. You don't, you don't. The Wingman Fantasy Football League. This is ridiculous. This is great. This bar is popping. Shots. All right. With that being said, guys, may your glass be full, your mug stay frosty, and we will see you next time. What button do I push? There it is.